All right, something cool here is with Matthew from Inspector Cluzo. How you doing, man?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
Real good, man. Pleasure to have you on the show.
Thank you, likewise.
So now, for all those years together, meaning you guys met in school, is that right?
Correct. We met. I don't know how is it is in the US, but I think it's after we graduate. You know, then we have like a college, and we met just right after that at the college first year. We were studying mathematics and physics, so it wasn't too much in the music, but how we were like musicians, and so we met there and we started a band, which was another band, right?
Mhm.
And we started playing music together. So it's been 30 years now.
Now, how did you guys decide to get into farming as well? I mean, did you guys have that going together all those years ago, or is it something you adapted into?
So that's a good question. So we went into farming. We decided to be professional farmers after we can remember, like traveling in China, India with the band. So we were doing playing shows over there, and we saw how bad the globalization affected, those countries. And so we'd say, instead of just protesting and say we shouldn't do that, we shouldn't do that, and be negative, we say, okay, let's do something positive. And our answer was, okay, let's build up a farm. Luckily, Laura and I had the chance to grow up in farms where we live,
Mhm.
so we had that from our grandparents, who taught us like how to grow vegetables, how to raise geese, for example. So um, uh, so in our region, the tradition is to raise either ducks or geese, and to grow corn, to feed the animals, and to combine all that. And so we say, okay, let's do that. And we just pushed a little bit the technique a little bit farther, and doing agroecologic, techniques.
Right.
So we try to, like the hay taken from the cornfield, for example, or the wheat field, we use this hay to put, so that the animals like the geese can shit on it. And then we take the whole thing and we put like in the organic manure, and we put that back in the field, you
Mhm.
know and especially also the feathers of the animals, of the chickens or the geese, we put that back in the fields also. We have some sheep who are like eating the grass, and when, for example, we harvest the wheat, we send the geese to pick up, the leftover. So there's no waste. Actually, we try to get everything to put back in the ground so that you can grow it, you eat, and then, either earth or the animal shit on something and goes back in the soil. That's a circle.
Right.
So
Now,
that's how we went into farming, and now we found a good balance in between the music world and the farming world, so that when we like kind of bored, staying at the farm, say, okay, let's go on tour.
see, that's one thing I want to ask you is how do you balance that out? I mean, running a farm is a full-time job, but what happens when you guys are on tour? Who just takes care of everything for you?
So we're lucky about that also, because in this place, I mean, like, helping each other is really in a cultural thing. Lauren's wife Natalie lives at the farm full time.
Mhm.
So when we are away, she's still there, like taking care of all the animals, and the neighbors are coming also to help when it's something heavy to carry or something like that. And we try to make sure, as much as we can, not to leave when you have a big work to do. Like, for example, we are about to come, and to start the US tour like next week.
Yes.
And this is now the moment to plant the corn.
Right.
So we have our own seeds, to put in the field. So we had to make sure that the seeds are ready, so that the neighbor can come over, pick up the seed, and we told him, okay, this field you do like this and like that. I mean, because we use like ecological techniques, so we have green fertilizer, in the fields.
Right.
So we want to cut and to plant the corn in the cutted, green fertilizers.
Okay.
So we called another neighbor who has the machine to do that. And so we coordinated all that, and to make sure that if we cannot do that next week, for example, because we're not lucky with the weather, but we have to adapt. It's pretty cold at the moment. It's sunny, but it's too cold to plant the corn.
Right.
So maybe they will have to do that the first or the second week of May. So but we won't be there. So that's why we have to make sure that everything is under control and planned.
So that's definitely going to be a little hectic, especially when you guys do everything on your own, having to have that responsibility placed on your neighbors. It's got to be, I'm sure there's going to be a lot of like going back and forth when you guys are on the road. And hey, did this get done? Did you guys do this the right way?
Exactly. It's phone calls every day. Say, hey, uh, so I did this. Did I do correctly or something? So where do you find this? Yeah, it's a lot of work, like following, and make sure that everything is in good order and it works properly.
Now, how do you prepare yourself to go on a tour of the United States? This is going to be your first headlining tour of the States, too. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct. That's our kind of first US headline tour, because we supported Clutch,
Mhm.
who are friends now in the Midwest. We did a big tour it was in 2019 in the winter, so that was pretty something brutal. And so and we also opened for the Eels. So as we did that, unfortunately, we had the COVID, stroke, and we couldn't follow up on what we did, even though we could do a small co-headline with 68. I don't know if you know that band.
Okay, yeah,
Uh, they're for Atlanta. And so we're gonna get on tour this time, supported by our friends of the Messenger Birds from Detroit. And how we prepare, well, the work at the farm is like kind of, keep us in good shape. And obviously we rehearse a little bit, because in the farm we have I mean, we live at the farm. We have at the first floor we have our practice room, so we can practice whenever we need. And we run the label, the management, the farm, everything from the first floor also. So it's pretty obvious for us. No need to, obviously it's a lot of work ahead of the tour, like to make sure that we have the proper car, the gear is set up, because we had to buy our gear, in Nashville. We have our base camp is Nashville.
right,
It's where we record our albums with Vance Powell,
right.
who did Raconteurs, Jack White, and he did one of the Clutch album, and that's pretty much how we met. And other like Chris Stapleton, and he's the analog guy. That's why we love him,
Right.
and we became friends. So when we come there, we say, okay, come down home, and let's hang out all together before you go on tour. And he picks up our gear, and that's how we do.
Now, you guys are used to growing your own food and eating, what you grow and things like that. When you go on a tour of something like America, where a lot of the food processed, how do you guys handle
Wow. Well, we have to adapt, because obviously we won't find any product like we grow here at the farm. So there's a moment of adaptation for us, like indeed, like going to find like the family restaurant and get some proper food. So we do our best not to eat too bad, but on tours you don't have time, I mean, to look for the very fine restaurant or whatever. So we know we don't tour US for the food. We just go on tour for the music,
right?
because you guys have the culture of the rock and roll, and that's why we come here. So we will listen to a lot of music. And and our ears will come to that, and that's what we want. And the road and the very beautiful landscape, and driving for hours, and that's what we try to look for, when we tour the States, not for the food. Sometimes we're surprised, but we can find like very old-fashioned Kentucky Fried Chicken in a very small town. Sometimes it happens sometimes, and there we super happy.
Now, do you plan on trashing your drum set after each show when you do this States tour?
Yeah, well, yeah, kind of. Yeah, we try to trash it, not too much, so that we can still play the next show. Some, band a little bit, some cymbal stands, and then let's go. Let's go. Yeah, sometimes it breaks, but not very often.
Now, I understand you guys make your own seed for your corn, as you mentioned before, like that. Do you sell those seeds anywhere, or is that just something for your own farm?
We don't sell, but we exchange some seeds. But we know it's hard to, for instance, we cannot bring some seeds and bring to the United States, for example. It's forbidden.
Right.
It's very controlled. When you move from a country to another, you cannot do whatever you want. So we try to exchange around us. I mean, in our area or in France, it's allowed. You can exchange, but we were touring, like Australia, like 2 weeks ago. We couldn't bring some seeds back home, or bring our seeds there. So no, it's more like locally exchanged.
To say that'd be a pretty cool item at your merch table if you guys had your own seeds right there.
Yeah, yeah. But what we do in Europe, at least, we bring our products. I mean, for example, we do some confit d'oie. It's a goose confit. Confit means, I don't know if you know. Confit means cooked. It is own fat.
Right.
So the meat is cooked in the animal's fat, and it gives the awesome taste. And so we can them, and then we bring that on the merch. So at the merch, at least in France or in Europe, you can find some CDs, records, or like a big can of goose confit. So, and people love it because they say, "Oh, we're right. We can go back home with a big can and a vinyl. That's awesome."
Right. Yeah, that's definitely unique things to find for sure. Now, your album Horizons that came out last year, it has a lot to do with your farm and issues that you're having there, like raising the geese and global warming, things like that. Do your fans truly know that you guys are farmers like that? I mean, I know you guys put out the documentary to show everything you do.
Yeah, well, some of our fans know because they understand the lyrics, and some other don't because they wish they could understand the lyrics. Because in France, like I would say, maybe half of the population can understand a little bit of English, and the other half, they don't understand a word. So still, I think it's gonna be better with the years, with the young, generation. But with the old people who were listening to some rock music before, they don't understand much. So we have to explain, and that's also why we did, the I don't know if you checked our website, but it's well, written and explained how the farm is working. And that's also why we did the documentary Running a Family Farm is More Rock Than Playing Rock and Roll Music, so that people can like see and maybe understand, if they want, what we are doing, and so they understand what we sing about, in the songs. Because as you said, we used what we experienced on the farm to put that in the lyrics. And that's, our way of expressing ourselves. And that's why when we sing that, we know exactly, all the meaning in the lyrics and what we are playing.
Now, what got you guys into rock and roll? I mean, in the States here, if you're a farmer, it usually be like country and Western music. So what made you guys want to do rock?
Yeah, I don't know, because it comes from the blues, and we love blues, and so it was, I don't know, obvious for us to play some rock and roll. I don't know why. It's just because we loved it, and we heard like when we were younger, you know, like bands like Nirvana or Pearl Jam, you know, Mudhoney, you know. So we say, okay, that's the music we want to play, and it's and rock and roll, it's kind of a ground based music, you know, like the blues from the field, you know. So it was relevant, and you know, we didn't even think about that. It came like naturally.
Now you guys are a truly independent band. I mean, you do everything on your own. You guys are, book your shows, everything, the recording, all that. How did you guys first hook up with Vance?
That's a good story, I'd say. It's so the last album we did, no, it was the fourth album. We recorded ourselves, mixed ourselves, so we put it out ourselves also as usual. And on the next one, the following one, we wanted a different sound. So we tried to do it ourselves, but we couldn't get to a point where we were satisfied. And so we were listening to music like the Raconteurs, or you know, or other stuff that Vance did. So we say, oh, we really love the sound this guy, you know, he's making. So why not contacting him? You know, it's you know, why not? So we did an email, you know, after the local farmer market, coming back and say, okay, let's. Laurent sent an email to Vance explaining, hey, Vance Powell, we love you, what you're doing. We are two farmers, but also musicians. We've just made a record, but we'd like you to mix it if you're into it. So here's links. Na 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 na. We did. We just explained that we were not a young band. You know, we played like more than 1,000 shows in 65 countries. Released like seven album. No, it was five albums before. Na 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 na. So and just Vance was intrigued. So he sent an email back saying, "Hey guys, I'm intrigued. Send me some tracks." We sent him the tracks. He said, "Okay, I'm down for it." So he was like, it was, I don't know, a bet something, but he said, okay, let's do it. So he did it, and we took the opportunity to fly to Nashville to meet him and be there for the mix. And we met each other, and we found out that we were on the same page, foodie guys, and so we got along to each other. And then we say, okay, nice. And the next record, he said, okay, guys, next record, I'd like you to come in Nashville, and we record and mix in Nashville. We say, okay, why not? And we did that, and so on. And now, you know, it's been the fourth. We're gonna record next September the fifth one with him. You
Awesome.
know, so now we're friends. You know, he came to the farm like last September to experience what we live here. So for him now, all that makes sense, and so now it's I would say forever.
Now, how did you guys hook up with Iggy Pop?
Oh, so Iggy Pop was another story. It's because so we know he's a French manager, kind of, you know, because this guy was linked with the first. You have to know that the first punk festival in Europe was happened in Montmarsan, in our hometown. And this guy, so the manager of Iggy Pop, the French manager of Iggy Pop, was linked with this festival. So we met him, we talked about, and we say, why not? When we were recording, Vance said, why not send him to Iggy this song? Because we were singing about, you know, now Rocky is dead, because even Iggy is in Paris, you know, and singing and be a crooner. We say it's fucked up. So we sent him the song. He loved it, and he said, "Okay, what do you want me to do, guys?" He said, well, "I don't know. Just said something." He'd say, "Okay, Iggy, me and my dick say fuck off," and so we said, "Well, that's awesome," and we just like pasted at the end of the song. Said that was it, and say we won't advertise or whatever. It's just for the fun, and that was nice to see that even at this level you can do like fun things without doing your heading.
Yeah, it was a nice surprise. It was pretty cool.
Exactly.
Now, you guys just did a few shows in Australia. How was that?
That was awesome because Australia is also a rock country. So we toured Australia like 15 years ago twice. We did Blues Fest and some headline shows, but for different reason we couldn't come back. We didn't have the opportunity, but this time we had the opportunity to come and open for Infectious Grooves, and to say okay, let's do it. And obviously it was a big success because the rock crowd, Infectious Grooves, so it was a perfect match. And people, the guy from Infectious loved the two shows, and so that was awesome. And so now it's okay, we have to come back, and we built something to come back next year at the Blues Fest and do our own headline shows around and stuff. So it's perfect.
That's awesome, man. Good for you. Now, one thing I noticed in the documentary, a question was asked that if you had to choose between being a farmer or a musician, do you think that would ever come about for you guys, or you think there was always going to be a nice harmony between the two?
It's a good combination of handling the two, but for sure the most important is the farm rather than the music, because if you want to live you have to eat, and if you want to eat you have to either you buy your food, but if you have nobody to make your food you have to do it yourself. So it's better to know how to grow your own food and be self-sufficient so that you can live. And but really the good thing is the balance in between the two, because it gives you like open-minded to go abroad, like in the States, especially when you like the music you guys are doing, or to go to visit Japan and make some cultural exchange, and then come back at the farm and with all those ideas, and then you farm. And that's a good way of living, we think. And it doesn't like fuck the world, like because of the climate change. People could say, okay, you taking the plane to go abroad and stuff like that. Say, okay, yeah, but at the farm we fix a lot of carbon because of what we grow in the fields. So every now and then we can take a plane and go to a different country and to make cultural exchange and then come back.
Mhm.
You don't fuck the planet doing that, and it's necessary if you don't want to make war everywhere. So that's why we won't I mean choose in between the two. As far as we can keep on going and doing the two, farming and music, we will keep on going.
Now, you guys are in a small community where your farm is there. What do your friends and neighbors think that you guys are actually big rock stars?
uh, well, we're not rock stars, we're just like rockers, rock farmers. So they are really happy for us. I mean, they are like, okay, the neighbors say, okay, go on tour. We'll take care of the farm while you're away. It's a pleasure because they are proud of seeing that what we're doing, and we bring people at the farm also that they meet. Like we have very close friends from Nashville. They came visit the farm, or musicians who come on tour with us. So it's a cultural exchange in all ways. So people are really happy because the neighborhood is like living again, and with the people talking to each other. It's really kind of it created a community, so international community. So that's why it's pretty good, and they like it.
Now, after this tour wraps up, what's next for you guys?
What's that? Sorry.
After the tour wraps up, what is next for you?
Um, So we come back beginning of June, and so we'll be keep up at the farm with all the work, and then we like 2 weeks after we start the festival seasons in Europe. So we'll go still on tour, but it'll be more like weekends. We'll be in the week at the farm, and in weekends we'll go on tour and play some festivals. And then so that's until end of August. We are working on coming back to the US in September for sure. Well, to record mid-September. And so we're working on touring a little bit in October in the States to come back. And then when early November, we have another French tour coming until end of November. And then it'll be the geese season, so we'll stop and do what we have to do at the farm.
No rest for you guys, huh? It's busy, busy, busy.
Very busy all the time, but busy but not too exhausting. I mean, because it's not the same. When you're on tour, okay, you're traveling, it's kind of exhausting and stuff like that, but it clears your mind. And when you come at the farm, you can rest more, still doing some physics work, but it's not the same. So you rest from another activity. I don't know if I'm clear. It's not the same solid. You don't use the same strength to make your thing. So
Yeah, sometimes I'm still baffled by this technology that we're doing here. I mean, you're halfway across the world from me. You're on your farm here. I'm in Buffalo, and it's just we're able to do this interview, which is pretty cool.
yeah, yeah, sure. That's amazing. That's technology. That's the good aspect of technology. Obviously. Oh, I hope you're gonna show up at the show.
Oh, definitely, yeah. Uh-huh.
Sure. So if
Yeah,
you need to be on the list or something, feel free to send us an email or whatever through our press attaché or directly to us because we're handling everything. So feel free.
perfect. Thank you so much. Now, people that are watching this, they want to follow up. They want to know where to get tickets for your shows. They want to watch the documentary. Where do they go? What do they do for everything?
Theinspectorcluzo.com. You can find everything in there. You have the tour dates with the ticket links. You have the links to the documentaries or the video clips, or everything is explained about the farm, and it's the perfect. And there's a English version. So
All right, man. Thank you so much for your time. It was a pleasure speaking with you, and I can't wait to check you out in concert.
yeah, likewise. I hope to see you at the show, and thank you for your questions. That was interesting.
Thanks, man. Appreciate it.